在我的自创魂技圆月的基础上，
哥，我也爱你。
嫁给我，
我愿意，我愿意。
终于有资格对你说出这句话了。你，这是一只修为超过了5万人。
事关武魂帝国的应急任务，要交代给你们去办。
融入了魅惑的能力。
我有一种了，正在接近，最好能引开他们。
最佳选择。
糟糕，有不明魂。
学珠皇正好是补充我第4。
在我的自创魂技圆月的基础上，
哥，我也爱你。
嫁给我，
我愿意，我愿意。
终于有资格对你说出这句话了。你，这是一只修为超过了5万人。
事关武魂帝国的应急任务，要交代给你们去办。
融入了魅惑的能力。
我有一种了，正在接近，最好能引开他们。
最佳选择。
糟糕，有不明魂。
学珠皇正好是补充我第4部分。军粮器械也都烧毁了，城内士兵已被尽数清剿。圣女，按您的吩咐，
关乎帝国存亡，往东外集结。此战连夜急行军至兴路，传令下去。
帝国手中收回了5座城池。一战后，我方先后从自西路却只是一味防守，毫无进攻。可武魂帝国已经快要对其形成围剿之势，联合军的防线也逐渐扩大。
武魂帝国就很难扭转战局，线持续扩大。长此以往，无论如何，只要联合军报仇，
实在令人生疑。
陛下，武魂帝国
传。
新鲁王都有紧急军情。哦，现身！接近武魂帝国军队与朝东西数座城关后，圣女胡雷林深入我国境内，即刻派出军队绕过前线，从侧。
远如仙，联合
以王都之险逼我撤，有一个武魂帝国，
王都进场。
仍需一段时日将其压制，但要彻底其兵力优势，才能快速。可能会再倾向武魂帝国方优势大幅缩减。局势可若此时调离部分兵力，
一律除掉。我取宝药，若欲阻拦，无论何人，奉刺屯长老之命前来。此次我等还是对天斗、星罗的联合军进行，
还需小心。
哼，陛下，
不知森林终究是在天斗境内。
遇到这里的，不会有人。
还是个漂亮的姑娘。
大哥，一个小姑娘。
什么人？
其中一个好像还是魂斗罗，他们来这里干什么？8个武魂帝国魂师。
啊，那是。
别过来！你们是什么人？
姑娘绝非凡人，不管怎么说。拥有这种力气的小，这里是落日森林，我身边的三叉戟。喂，小顾家人在不在周围？我们先喊他过来回话。刚刚是某个大家族的大小姐。国度，你可知怎么回事？刚才这里有一股强大能量。
怎么了？
过来回话。
但我也因此迷了路之逃，直到你出现，才下5万年地血蛛皇追赶。刚刚我被……
你看，大哥，他应该没有说谎。
离开吧，这里太危险了！你们敢？
越靠近核心区域，万年地血蛛皇。哼，他刚才说什么？地面痕迹还在。
打冰火两仪眼的主意，如果让他们……
目的地不远了。
原来他们……
大哥，看来珍贵的魂兽宝物越多，
也都是宝物。这个小姑娘和三叉戟 宝物不仅仅只在核心区，
了冰火两仪眼，那爸妈就报
出皇的痕迹。就算他家族，而且附近还有5万年地，如果出事，无人知晓。既然他孤身一人，在这森林中，
小姑娘，
哥的意思是我们抢人家夺宝，诸皇之手，追查也可能是认定你。
如果你把3叉戟没，你又迷了路，恐怕天黑了。到时候回收，我们做个交易如何？马上就要。
难道是想抢3叉戟？一群混蛋，笑里藏刀。
否则给我们带你离开。
真的会带我出去吗？你如果能先解决掉这个我，看来要离开他们是不可能的。
各取所需嘛，也是为你好。大家互相帮，森林很危险。我们小姑娘，这路
大家别怪我们不客气。
算了，
有话不听。
好像好。好，我答应你们。我只想把3叉戟交给你，我不喜欢他们。老爷爷，
小姑娘，我来取，
你过来取。
无妨。其实我不老，我会轻轻的拿，你别躲呀！你干什么？
应对的108000斤的神器，可惜这是连海神斗罗的。你想杀人夺宝？
大家一起上！
来吧，我不怕。
大哥，好一个扮猪吃老虎！
你不配。
好一个！传输给王都周围3城增援，
能轻易偷袭进王都。
好在父王
协约的实力相比，凭借我边境局势，虽已得到缓解。
你呢？天斗与我和竹云也会马上启程，他也已经准备搬兵回国。没想到，当初我们兄弟相残，
王都有你就够了。所以我打算留下来，但边境防线仍未成型，民众也生活得更好。听闻在你相助下，破王轻松不少。世事难料，这次
如今竟会并肩作战，有王者风范。4年磨砺，变强很多，也越来越。倒是你是青罗太子，我也绝不会让步。我会认为你能力边境之役，你若不能彻底解决，别太得意。眼前的
很多强者，还有很多值得我做一个不一样的事情，让我明白这个世界。海神岛4年。大哥，我跟你说，
把王位传给你。看来我这个弟弟真的长大了。当
是的巅峰。与其追求权力，倒不如追求
完全像是换了一个人。这个玩世不恭、拈花惹草的人，我不会让你失望。
我期待星罗帝国空前强大的那一天。
没事儿。
好汉不吃眼前亏，不如上面交代的任务是夺取宝物，完不成任务，想到他这么厉害。
哥，
我在吸收魂环的时候，
你笑什么？
谢谢你守护我。
哦，对了，哥，不是没复活前的我了。哥，我现在
说明落日森林以外，武魂帝国。放心，我一切都
吸收的比以往快，不会有冲突。
阿妈子。
联合军兵力骤损，星罗城不知道老师什么时候能回天。前线战斗越来越吃紧，面对武魂帝国，
会成为世间最强成三。我和你之间只有
是来传达天使神的旨意，小雪。我今天
是，糟糕！
是进化到了巅峰境界，萧瑟的蓝银领域是最有把握让你妈妈恢复人形。小三，
我永远都无法原谅你。如果你再为了我有任何损失，
Hello guys, welcome back to the Nine Clouds channel. This time what is discussed is a continuation of the anime series Soul Land episode 214. I don't forget to remind those of you who haven't subscribed, press the subscribe button and turn on the bell, so you don't miss the update. In the previous episode, Xiao Wu has been resurrected. They both promise to live as long as possible. It is also told that Hulina and the people of the Wuhun Empire will carry out a very important task, which is related to the future of the Wuhun Empire. Tang is trying to recover the spirit ring. He goes to the forest and hunts the evil spirit demon. But while in the midst of absorbing the spirit ring, he was surprised by the arrival of 8 unknown people. In episode 215 this time, a red aura is shown chasing someone, and killing him. She is a combination of Hulina and her sister. They are carrying out the mission given by the Emperor Wuhun. They destroyed a city with all its soldiers and burned all supplies of food and weapons. Then Hulina gave the order to deploy troops in the middle of the night, and gathered outside the imperial capital of Douluo. Was then shown, the center of the majestic imperial city. Inside the palace, they were discussing the war in Dalu. His side successively captured 5 cities, from the Wuhun Empire. It was seen that the imperial officials and the 2 emperors of the kingdom were devising a strategy. The Wuhun Empire instead continued to defend without attacking. Even so, the line of defense has also expanded and almost surrounded the Wuhun Empire. But they were suspicious of the movement of the Wuhun Empire. But the Dalu Emperor said, as long as the combined forces continue to expand and help the front line. With a situation like this, the Wuhun Empire will find it difficult to reverse the situation. Suddenly a soldier came forward and gave a report, urgent news from the imperial capital Douluo. The Wuhun Empire had made a move, they sent a rotating army from the front lines and sneakily entered the country area from the side forests. After successive wars, then Hulina appeared and gathered the Wuhun Imperial Army to attack the imperial capital. The Dalu Emperor praised the Wuhun Empire's strategy and forced him to withdraw troops to send aid by attacking the capital. However, now that the joint forces are in power and can quickly contain this, but completely purging it will take a long time. But if you move some troops now, the strength will decrease. He thought things would turn back to the Wuhun Empire. The story moves to the forest where Tang San and Xiao Wu hunt spirit monsters. It turns out that the masked people are troops from the Wuhun Empire. They were assigned to seize the heirloom medicine on the orders of the Wuhun Emperor's elders. They planned to kill anyone who got in the way. They rushed to Xiao Wu's place. The Sunset Forest was the territory of the Tiandu Empire, and they were also careful. On the way they tell that another army is facing the combined forces of the Tiandu and Xingluo empires. So assume this place will not be noticed. They stopped and met Xiao Wu, and they looked down on Xiao Wu and laughed. Xiao Wu thought, 8 spirit masters of the Wuhan Empire, why did you come here? And since one of them was a master Douluo, Xiao Wu pretended to be weakened in, telling them not to come near. One was shocked to see Trident beside Xiao Wu. This was a Sunset Forest. After all, a little girl who had a weapon like this was definitely not an ordinary person. He thought, maybe she was the miss of a large family, and asked him to come and answer his questions. They asked Xiao Wu, because they had felt a great surge of power around here. Xiao Wu replied, he had been chased by the underground spider emperor for 50,000 years, and kept running until you guys appeared and made him run in fear. And said he got lost because of the spider, and said it was very dangerous here, then told them to leave. One of them believed and reassured the leader, showing the scars of the battle on the ground were still there. But instead he was delighted to hear of a 50,000-year-old spider, because the closer to the central area, the more valuable spirit monsters and heirlooms there will be. And their destination was near. Xiao Wu heard this, assumed that they must be looking for a spring of ice and fire, and if found, then the whereabouts of his father and mother will be known. One who is interested in heirlooms, he approaches Xiao Wu and plans to take the trident, and assumes if something happens in this forest and no one will know it. He offered in exchange to Xiao Wu. Since the sky was getting dark and since he was alone, it would be difficult if the spirit monsters appeared. If Xiao Wu handed over his trident, then they would take him away. Xiao Wu, who still pretended to be weak, he asked if he really would take him away if he gave the trident. They answered him firmly and then started to chase Xiao Wu. Then Xiao Wu approached the trident of the gods and made the trident fall on one of them and die. Finally Xiao Wu unmasked, and started to seriously face them all. The story is shown in another way. The joint forces were conducting training and preparing themselves. They were led by the 2 sons of the Xingluo Empire. They praised the power of the Wuhan Empire. Hualina and her brother Xiaoyu managed to break through the capital with ease. Luckily the emperor had already given orders for the 3 cities around the capital to add reinforcements, and also prepared to move troops to go home. They too will be leaving soon. Although the borders of the Tiandu and Xingluo empires have calmed down, the border defense lines have not yet been established. So planning to stay because it's enough in the capital city that there is only his brother. and the brothers complimented each other then laughed together. His brother said that if he couldn't handle it at this border, he would tell his father not to give him the position of emperor. But instead he replied, during the sea god exam with Tang San and the others, he saw a different world, and made him understand that there were still great people in this world, and there was still a lot he wanted to explore, and left the future of the Douluo Empire to his brother. His brother said, why not want the position of emperor, even though they were fighting and desperately fighting for the leadership position. Even his father had acknowledged his strength. But why now ignore that position? But he said, forget the grudges of the past, now for him instead of pursuing power it is better to pursue the peak of spirit masters. His brother said that he used to like arbitrarily and seduce women, now he has grown up. The story moves again. Xiao Wu is facing a spirit master from the Wuhun Empire. Since Xiao Wu hadn't fought in a long time, his punch had no effect. But after the next try, he was battered by Xiao Wu. The others attacked Xiao Wu at the same time. Because Xiao Wu had a teleportation technique, so their attacks all failed miserably. Because the Master Douluo had died by the Trident of Gods, then Xiao easily defeated the others. Then they ran away. But when Xiao Wu was about to stop it, it was preceded by Tang San who had finished absorbing the spirit ring. Xiao Wu then approached Tang San and said he was still not satisfied fighting. Tang San also thanked him for taking care of him. But Tang San smiled, because while absorbing the spirit ring he could still hear what Xiao Wu was talking about. He praised his acting very well. Then they left, and Xiao Wu asked this time absorbing the spirit ring faster than usual, and said he would be fine. But when they were far away, it was shown that someone was stalking the two of them. It is shown that Hulina and her sister are attacking the Empire, and instead Tang San and Xiao Wu are hunting spirit monsters to recover spirit rings. Attacks from the Wuhun Empire constantly press the two empires. Since Xingluo's army had returned to his kingdom, the combined force had decreased a lot. They are getting more and more difficult to face the Wuhun Empire in the frontline war. The Emperor was waiting for his master to return to the Indo Empire. And finish the 215th episode this time. How it goes, we'll wait next week. Happy weekend and see you later. Bye bye.